Okay, an ellipse has this as a center and a vertex there. So I'm a visual person, so I'm kind of thinking 5, -3. 5, -3. And then I have 8, -3. So what's the space in that? 3. So what's the length of that axis? If I say the axis, do you know what that means? What's the whole distance across now? 6. But the major axis is 12, so that's obviously not that one. So that means if this axis is 6, then this one needs to be 12. So that means I have to go up and down by how much? 6 and 6, right? Because this one was 3, 3, this one will be 6, 6 to make 12. So the axis is the whole span, not just the radius-y part. Okay? So get the equation. So here we go. An ellipse. So you have your formula sheet that I gave you. Okay, so here's how I did my center. X minus 5 squared plus y plus 3 squared. And under the x, so what were we doing horizontally? We were jutting out 3 and 3, so then this would be a 9. And under the y, how much were we jutting out vertically? 6, so that's a 36. Okay, so this one, that axis talks about the whole span. So you kind of got to think about the whole span, but I really like to use the half span to get those numbers, right? It's like a diameter, but we use radius for our formulas, kind of idea. Okay, if I gave you a graph, can you make an equation? So first of all, do you understand what shape this is? Is it a circle? Because this is, that's 6 apart. And those are 6 apart, yeah. Okay, so they're both 6 apart, so it is a circle. So my formula for a circle, okay, what's the coordinate of the center? It should line up with a 4, comma, 0, right? So I don't have anything with the y then. So that's the center. And what is the radius? 3. So then that would be a 9. Okay? This word, the 6, is the axis. If the radius is 3, that means both axes are 6. Okay, the hyperbola has these as vertices, and the slope of the asymptote is that. Okay, so I'm going to draw kind of a box. -3, 2, and -3, 8. So those would be the vertices. So therefore, this is opening vertically. So which equation should I use? Which equation should I use? You're going to have to do this one. We're going to be doing some kind of y squared and then minus the x squared, right? Okay, can you get me the center from that? Can you figure out what the center would be? So it'd line up with -3, and then what's in the middle there? What's in the middle of 8 and 2? 5? Okay, so there's what I know. Okay, tell me, how much are you jutting out from the center there? So if this was at 5, it means that's a 3. And the slope of the asymptote is -3/5. Okay, so that means if I move down 3, I should move over 5. So that means I will have to jut over 5. So now, underneath my y, I'm going to write a 9, because I can see here my vertical space was 3. And under x, I'm going to write 25, because I can see the sides are 5 and 5. Okay? How can I trick you on the test? I can give you this asymptote in a reduced form. So if I had actually had this space as 6 and this is 10, I still would have wrote -3/5. But you guys would have had to figure out that that was a different number. Does that make sense?
How would you figure that out?
If I gave you those as my points, and I still told you the slope was -3/5, because then you would have said these are 6. So how much would you have to go over? How much would you have to go over to equate to that? If you move vertically 6, you would have to move horizontally 10. Yeah. Okay, even though the slope says -3/5, you got to proportion that. Okay? Make sense? Wink, wink. That's where the one spot I try to trick you on the test. Okay, identify the value of k so that the circle has a radius of 7. Okay, so we're going to complete the square. So x squared minus 8x, y squared plus 10y, and then a negative k. Clump the x's, clump the y's, move the number. Okay, complete the square, complete the square. Okay, half squared, teeter-tottered. Okay, how do I make a radius of 7? What would I need over here? 49. So I need negative k plus 41. I actually need that to be 49. So I just do that over here and then solve for k. Okay, is that pretty straightforward? So just completing the square, figuring out what needs to be there. Okay, last two are from graphs. Okay, so on this one, figure out what the center would be. So it looks like it's lining up with 3, 2. Vertically, what? Looks like a 5 each way. Horizontally is a 3 each way. Okay, this is an ellipse. So you have your formula from your formula sheet. So the center, so negative 3, negative 2 to make the center. Under the x has to match the horizontal. So horizontally was 3, so I'm going to put a 9. Y is vertical, so under the vertical I have a 5 there, so I'm going to write a 25. Okay, please also note I might do some work with the minor axis and the major axis. So what is the length of the minor axis? What's the smaller axis all across? 6. And the major axis would be the other one, which all the way across would be 10. So that's what those words mean if you see them. Minor and major axis, just which one's longer is the major. Okay, this is a hyperbola. Okay, so there's a subtract. Which one goes in the positive? Which one gets subtracted if it looks like this direction? We would have to do the y squared would be the positive, right? Because we're opening to the y's. Okay, get me what the center would be. Figure that out. 0, 4. Okay, so here's what I know. 0, 4. And I wrote the y squared first because it's opening in the y direction. Okay, vertically, what's the space here? 3. So vertically, so under the y, I'm going to put a 9. That's the vertical. And what's going on horizontally? 2. So under the x, I'm going to write a 4. That's it.